Let's get started. We're going to start by getting comfortable in our seat. We want to begin to just sit up nice and straight, adjust ourselves so that we're, if we can, come off the back of our chair, kind of scooching forward. We want to do our best to use our core to keep our body lifted up. And by doing this, we'll get into the habit of good alignment. So when we breathe in and out, that there's nothing constricting the breath. And that's what I want you to focus on in this moment. Sitting up in your seat in a way that you can fully feel as though that the breath is just coming down through the body, unrestricted. Because if you're hunched over, you're going to kind of get stuck with that breath, okay? So we want to sit up nice and tall. Roll the shoulders away from the ears. Relax the shoulders away from the ears. Let your body just kind of soak into the seat. Make sure your knees are about hips width apart and that the knees are stacked on top of the ankles. If you want, you can close your eyes or fixate your gaze, either or. Start to breathe in a way where you can feel the breath and just connect to that. Just notice your breath. Try not to focus on anything else except for your breath and how it feels in your body. So notice those places where the breath touches, such as the nose, the throat, the belly. Notice the way the body reacts to the inhale and the exhale. And anytime you feel as though the mind is going to wander and go to something else, just try to come back to the sense that your breath is there. And just the sense of trust. That even if your mind wanders, that you can come back to the breath and that there'll always be another breath as long as you're living. Moment by moment. And see if you can just trust yourself in this way. Inhale, I am breathing in. Exhale, I am breathing out. And that should start to help you to clear out your mind. And we want to take our focus now to the fact that we will be practicing yoga. Get a sense of your body quickly and just notice how you feel and respect it. At any time in this practice, if there is a pose that is offered and you don't feel comfortable doing it, you don't have to do it. And trust yourself, okay? There's always modifications. And to be honest, only you know your body. So just trust in that. And if you need to take a break at any point and you just don't feel like doing a pose, just come back to this base position, okay? This is base. It's like our child's pose. It's like a sitting lotus pose. It's here for you. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. Start to get prepared to move the body. We're going to take our chin to our chest, continuing to sit up nice and tall in a seat. Drop the chin to the chest. Just let the chin sit there for a moment. Continue to prop the body up with the belly strong. Take your right ear and bring it to your right shoulder. Just sit there for a second. And chin back to the chest, left ear to the left shoulder. Chin back to the chest, then right ear, right shoulder. One breath, one movement, chin back to the chest, and then left ear, left shoulder. And just start to kind of gently roll your head back and forth for one breath, one movement. Not too much, just one more. And then let your right ear rest on your right shoulder. Like your left hand, and just, if you like, you can drop it down by your side, or you can start to kind of just rotate the hand back and forth. And then take that arm and then just stretch it out. Continue to sit up nice and tall in your seat. Maybe sit up a little bit taller. Stretch out the left arm. Keep the right ear to the right shoulder. And then bring the hand back down. Lift the hand back up. And then drop it back down. Match the breath to the movement. Last one. Bring the hand back onto the thigh and then drop the chin to the chest. And just feel how your one side feels to your other. Even though you're tilting your head on the right, a lot of the work is being done on the left, okay? So just keep that in mind. Now we're gonna take that left ear, bring it to the left shoulder. Take the right hand, you can extend it off of the leg. You can drop it down by the side. We can start to windshield wiper the hand back and forth. And then bring that hand up. Right hand extends out and then drops down on the breath 4 times in all. Inhale, the arm rises. Exhale, the arm falls. Inhale, the arm rises. Exhale, it falls. Inhale, it rises. And exhale, it falls. And if you didn't do 4, go ahead and do 4. Bring the hand back onto the thighs. Drop the chin back into the chest. Take both hands and then place it on the top of the dome. Right on that place where the head feels like you could grip it. Okay, because like if you're in the front, it's not the same. You want to bring your hand to the back of the head. And then just rest your fingertips there. No extra pressure. Just let the weight of your hands and your elbows just sit. Gravity's enough. Drop the hands back onto the tops of the thighs. Take the right ear, bring it to the right shoulder. Left to right. Notice the difference. And maybe go in full 360 degrees. You don't have to drop your head back. You can just kind of trace your chin to the front of the room. But if you want to drop your head back, you can. I just always give people that option of not having to do it, because some people have really tense necks, and it might not be the best thing to just drop your head back. Okay, you can always do the full roll by just like you're tracing a line in the front of the room. All right, come back to center, and then notice that your neck is just a little bit looser. Head back up, eyesight gaze. All right, let's start to do some stuff from the shoulders. So roll the shoulders up and then roll them away from the ears. Pull back like you're pressing your shoulder blades together. Press the chest forward and then come back forward. So when you're doing your rolls, you have all this space. You can go back again, right? You don't have to roll like this. You can roll with your arms, really bringing that roll forward and back, or you can do little pauses and little pulsates. That's fine, right? But I'm just giving you this idea that you got space. All right, so you find the best way for you, and then reverse. All right, try to just get out any kinks in your back. There you go. And then bring those hands back down by the side, and let's twist to the left and the right. And when you're twisting, come from that belly, okay? Beautiful, beautiful. All right, that's good. Let's start to kind of roll the mid body now. We did here, we kind of did here. So let's go ahead and roll the mid body. So we're gonna sit up really tall in our seat, bring our hands to our thighs because we're gonna press our weight into our hands. And then I want you to start with the right side. Keep your sits bone grounded into the chair and then just press forward, squeeze the core and then come back. Press forward, squeeze the core and come back. All right, and then we're gonna do the other side. All right. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Love it. Okay, good, good, good. So we got a little bit going on here. Let's go ahead with our legs. You can take your legs, just lift them up and then just rotate them around. Using your fingertips, hold on. Wherever your leg is, it's fine. If you need to hunch over a little bit, that's fine too, but try to come back up to a nice aligned position with your back. Use your core to help you lift up your leg and then go in a reverse position, going in that circle. So if you go forward, then go back. And then bring the foot back down to the mat and let's do the other side. Squeezing the core, coming around. Breathing in and breathing out. There we go. All right, let's open up the legs. Bring your hands onto the tops of the thighs. And now let's roll around the long way. All right, so we did with our legs kind of in base position. Now let's go ahead and start to rotate around with our legs open, really allowing the belly to press towards the center. Inhale and breathe in and out. All right, so heel the feet back together. All right, let's take the heels, press them onto the ground, lift up the toes, and then let's go forward and then back. Forward and then back. Maybe even rock yourself forward and back. We're going to do a cat-cow. So you want to just get into that motion of bringing the chest forward and back. That's good. Get you prepared for that. All right. Take your right foot, press it out, rotate it. Rotate that ankle. Squeeze the core to help you keep up the thigh. Then to go on to the left. There we go. All right, beautiful. Come back to center. All right, let's go for our first flow of the class. Now that our whole body is kind of lubricated up and warmed up. So keep the feet pressed down on the ground so that they are hips width apart. So if your heels from going through all of the warm up are to the left or the right, come back to center. Make sure that your fists, when they sit inside the inner arches of your legs, you look down, you can see a capital H, all right? You want to make sure that those feet are parallel. So no toes to the left or right. We're keeping them center for right now. All right, knees stacked back on top of the ankles. All right, we're back in our mountain pose. Lift up our arms, roll the shoulders away from the ears. We have our fingertips touching the peak of the mountain. We're just going to sit here for a second. Notice the length of our arms. Allow for that stretch to go through your rib cage, lifting up your heart. And if you like, you can back bend slightly so that your heart shines bright. And don't worry, it's still shining bright if you don't feel like lifting up towards the sky. It's just shining bright right in front of you. If you can, look up, gaze up. And we're going to exhale, flow down, pressing our bellies onto the tops of our thighs, dropping our hands so that they dangle over the legs. Chin to the chest, shake the head, yes or no. All right, just sit there for a second, breathe in, feel the pressure on the belly, press against the thighs, and the thighs are supporting you. So just trust that they're there and you can really just let your arms dangle, let the chin dangle. And if you should be in a chair where your feet are on the ground anyway, so the ground is there supporting you. Your feet should not be dangling for this practice at any time. Slowly half lift, flat back. Inhale, breathing in, bring the arms behind you, roll the shoulder blades back and away, then lift up the chest slowly. You're only coming halfway. Your abs are doing the work. Wrapping the belly around the back around the belly, and breathe with a nice big smile. Always smile for core work. It helps. Exhale, forward fold. Drop your body back down. Take that nice resting pause. And slowly we're going to come up, lifting back up into mountain pose, using the core, squeezing the belly. Roll the shoulders away from the ears. And we're going to take our hands, press the palms together, flip the hands up towards the ceiling. Roll the shoulders away from the ears. With your feet pressed into the ground and your sits bone, I want you to lean over to the opposite side. So lean to the right, pivot up on that left shoulder. If you can, take your gaze up and look up into the arm, the inner arm of your left side. You should be just stretching your rib cage. Come back to center. And we're going to do the other side of your rib cage. So even though you're leaning to your left, you're really stretching your right. Come back to center. And then drop the hands down by the side. Bring the arms behind you. And now we're going to do the opposite with our hands, right? So we're going to press those fingertips together, and they're interlaced this time, but this time your wrists are not facing the ceiling. This time they're facing each other, and you can press your shoulder blades together. If it's in your practice, you can start to lean forward, pressing the belly onto the thighs. If it's not, you don't have to. You can always just take those hands and rest them on your sacrum. And if you don't want to lean forward, you don't even have to do that. All right. This is just for those who want to do it. Get that last bit of a stretch in, squeeze the core, push down, and then undo the arms. And now let them fly. Like your butterfly wings or your angel wings. All right. All right. We want to take our hand and then hold on to the chair on the left side. All right. Bring the right arm up overhead, leaning over towards the left. So the right arm comes up, it's leaning over towards the left. And then bring that hand down. Let's do the other side. All right. Kind of like a little tick-tock thing. Let's do it again. Inhale and breathe in. Exhale out. Bring the arm back down. Inhale, breathe in, lifting up through the rib cage, not through the shoulders. Exhale, bring out. When you move from the belly, it feels a lot different than when you're putting all that strain here. So let's do that one more time. Lift up through the core, reach up, and then gazes up. You're lifting up through the rib cage, okay? Even if your shoulders don't go anywhere near your ears, like say you stop here, you're lifting up through the rib cage. I just want you to get into that habit. All right, bring the hand back down. We're going to do this again, but with both hands. And this time we're going to go straight up and make a shooting gun, lifting up through the belly. So squeeze your belly. Matter of fact, move your belly a couple times in and out with your breath, just so you know that that's what you're using, okay? Then lift up, gaze up, take that shotgun up or take that shooting gun up, cross the thumbs, interlace all the fingers except for the index finger and look up. And we're going to lean over towards the right, keeping our sits bone down, lifting up through the rib cage. And then you can take your right fingertips and just kind of pull and tug on that left arm. And then come back to center, and then let's do the other side. And when you do the other side, you can do the same thing. You can tug with those left fingertips, kind of pulling that right arm over just a little bit more to the right side, but keeping your sits bone grounded into the seat. Breathe in and come back to center, and then gaze up. Again, lifting up through the core. Roll the shoulders away from the ears. There you go. And then bring the arms down. And again, twisting to the left and to the right. And pause for a moment. And breathe. Another 2 breaths. And 1 more breath. All right, good job. And bring the arms out in front of us. Roll the shoulders away from the ears. Squeeze the core. All right, we're going to take our right hand, sky flip the palm. Take the left and then pull the fingertips back. We did all this shoulder work, so now we want to start to bring it down a little bit. Breathe in and breathe out, and you can start to just rotate your finger, each finger at a time, until you get all the way to the end, breathing in and out. The end being your thumb. All right, try to breathe. Try to keep that wrist down a little bit so that you're feeling the benefits of the stretch in your hand. And then pull the full hand back. Now there's a lot of nerves in your hand, so believe it or not, this is really, really a great part of yoga. A lot of people just say, oh, it's hand yoga. But there's all these different parts inside of your hand connected to your body and your nervous system. Just imagine if somebody did your nails or gave you a hand massage, how great that would feel. Matter of fact, go ahead right now and just rub your hands a little bit. Don't overlook how this can be helpful, okay? Breathe in and breathe out, and then roll those wrists back down. Beautiful. And just notice your right side from your left. You can really feel like those fingertips are still on your hand, right? That's because all these nerves are there. All right, keep that in mind when we go over to the other side. Lift up those arms, roll those shoulders away from the ears. Sky flip the left hand. Now, as you're gonna feel, it feels a little bit tighter. So when you pull back with those right fingertips, only go as far as you feel comfortable, but try to get to at least a mild or moderate stretch on that wrist, okay? And then begin that rotation. Breathing as much as you can, just like you were doing any other pose. Okay. All right. And pressing that hand all the way back as far as you can go. Rotate that hand around and do the same thing with the massage. All right. Same thing, massaging this time your left hand, your left palm, and even pulling at your hands a little bit, and then rotate that wrist all the way down. Beautiful. All right, let's go through a flow. Arms rise, mountain pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, arms reach up overhead and hands come back down by the side or through heart center. Let's do it 2 more times. Inhale, breathe in. Exhale, breathe out. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, release. Inhale, come back up to where we started. Hands come down, heart center on that exhale or by the side. Last one, make it your own. I'll be demoing. Just follow me if you need to, but I believe you got it. I want you to trust yourself. Ah, look at y'all. You're so beautiful. Good job. Hands come down, the heart center by the side. And then shake it out. This is going to help us prepare to come over and do some other stuff with our backs. All right, we want to loosen up our back. So just lift up those shoulders a few times just to feel where you are in your back. Bring your hands onto the tops of your thighs. We're going to do a few cat-cows. All right, I'm going to move my body. All right, so take the hands, place them on those thighs. We're going to take that back and we're going to start to push back, squeezing our belly, squeezing the belly button in, chin to the chest. So we can start out with our scared cat. Take a few breaths, get comfortable, and then we're going to press up, lifting up from that rib cage and through that core, through the heart center. Heart goes up to the sky. And there's our cow, looking up, basking in the sun, and then pull back, okay? Make it your own. Find your own rhythm with your breath and do about 4 going forward and then 4 going back. So it's 8 movements in total. Your mind wanders, just come back to the body, back to the breath. And come back to center. All right. Yeah, there we go. Beautiful. Let's open up our legs. All right. We're going to take our hands, keep them where they are. We're going to take our right shoulder and just kind of press it forward and then back. And then take your left. Let the weight fall. When you're pressing that shoulder forward, let the weight fall into the hand on the same side. Let's go over to the other side again. Notice how the weight shifts. Now, as you start to do that, I want you to start to get into this motion where you come a little bit further. All right. Come a little bit more further down with that swing of your shoulder. All right. There's a reason for this. All right. Once you feel that, come back up to center. You feel that motion that you just did, right? Come back to center. We're going to take that right shoulder first, and we're going to draw that shoulder down. So when we were dipping just in a swing, now we're going to come all the way down and hold it. That weight that we were pressing on the right hand is going to press more into our thigh. Now, our left hand isn't really doing anything. It's just helping us stay on our leg. And the elbow is really just bent, all right? So our bodies are leaning more over onto the support of the left side while we're pressing away, using the resistance, extending the arm out of the right side. Straight elbow on the right arm. Come back up to center. Breathe in and out. Let's do that again with that shoulder on the left side, and this time swing all the way down and hold it. Try to keep your sits bone grounded into the seat. 2 more breaths. So we're doing the same thing like we did on the other side. It just flops over to the opposite. Come back up. Let's do it again. All right, right shoulder comes down. Maybe extend your legs, opening up the right leg and the left leg so you have a wider stance. So you can go down a little bit more, but do your best to keep the sits bone grounded onto the seat. The reason we want this is we really want to breathe in to that star shape at the lowest part of our back, right where our sacrum is. Gives us a little bit of pressure relief. All right, come back up. We're going to do the other side. I know we are coming down with the shoulder, but most of this work is actually going to benefit our lower backs. Try to keep your sits bone on the seat. You can widen your stance more if you need to. All right, come back up to center. We're going to press the body forward and then press out. You can actually swing the arms. All right, swing those elbows. Take the chin to the chest. All right, come back up to center. Beautiful. All right, good job, good job. Let's go through a flow, and then we're going to start to do some more twists, and we're going to do some stuff on the legs, all right? And we're going to do some core work before we go into our standing sequence. So arms rise, reach up, exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift, flat back, squeezing from the core. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, arms rise, and then come down through the heart, back onto the legs. As a matter of fact, before we do our twist, because we already started to open up that lower back, let me just take a little step back with my chair so you can see me. Let's start to do some leg stuff, and then we'll come into our twist. And that will show you how to, when we really loosen up that lower body, how much of it is in our legs, so that you keep that in mind when we do this practice, okay? So take that right foot, extend it out, and then place the heel down on the ground. All right, continue to sit up nice and straight. That hamstring, if you notice that it's tight, likely your lower back is tight too. All right, so let's stretch out that hamstring, soften the right knee, okay? Nothing says you have to have a rigid knee. So you can stay just like this, bringing both hands onto the top of your thigh, or you can start to press the belly button towards the thigh, keeping your sits bone grounded into the seat. You don't have to come all the way down. You're just doing a slight little tilt forward. As you're breathing, imagine that your breath is going into your hamstrings, to your knees, your calves, your feet. And just feel that breath also, the way it touches the back body. Come back up. All right, bring the foot back to meet the left. You're going to take the left foot this time, place it down on the ground. All right, heel comes down, toes are pointing up. Soften the left knee. Take your hands, place them on the opposite leg. And then if it's in your practice, start to press the belly button towards the thighs. Again, breathing through the full leg. Maybe take about 5 or 6 breaths here, imagining that they're hitting each part of your leg all the way down to your feet. I'm going to come back up. Bring the feet back. Breathe in and breathe out. Beautiful. All right, before we finish on the legs, we got some more work to do. So take that right foot, bring it back out again, go right back into that same position, but this time you're going to take your left and cross it over. If you want to hold on to your seat, you can. Extend a seated, extended leg forward fold. We're going to sit up tall in our seat, soften the knees, start to bring that belly towards the thighs. If you want to drop the hands, you can. It's your choice. You can then soften the ankles and let them rest wherever they rest. Remember, if you want to hold on to the chair, you can. And just like we did our breath, imagine that you're breathing into the hamstrings, maybe even the hips, the knees, the calves, the shins, the feet. Each breath hits a different part of the body, and then exhale, release, and just see if that helps you to relax a little bit more in the pose. And slowly we come back up. Belly, chest, and then head. Roll those shoulders back. Take your left foot and your right foot, coming back into your base position. Breathe in from the nose down to the toes. And then come on to the other side. Okay, so left foot comes down, right foot crosses over. Sit up tall in that seat and then lean ourselves forward. Finding that happy medium, at least a place to start. Start to bring the breath to the legs and breathe into each part of your leg. And as you do so, you can just relax more and more and more into the pose. Slowly come back up, belly, chest, and then head. Bring both your feet back to base. Okay. Beautiful, beautiful. You're gonna take your right foot. You're gonna bring it over towards your right side. All right. Where you can have your hands on your thighs or you can extend your arms out. All right, beautiful. Now you can stay just like this. Or you can extend out to come into a modified warrior 2 position and look over your right fingertips if you do. So we have 3 different modifications. You're really breathing into the full body, squeeze that core, allow that breath to be fluid as it flows down into your feet and your mind, and then back out. Bring the hands back onto the sides of the chair and come back to center. Whichever modification you're in or whichever pose you're in, come back to center. Then we're going to come on to the other side. All right, left leg now comes out. It's like a little L shape with your body. Okay, you can keep both hands on top of your right thigh, or you can extend those arms out. And then if it's in your practice, you can come into that warrior two pose, looking over your left fingertips. Your right leg is extended out. Your core is strong. Sitting up nice and straight. Imagine if the seat wasn't there, you would have to engage your glutes. You'd have to engage your thighs. You can engage your lower back, tuck in your belly. Even though it's modified, all these muscles are still being used. Continue to breathe here. If you feel like you're getting fatigued, it's probably because you're not breathing. Holding the breath. And bring the hands back onto the seat. Toe heel the feet back together. All right. And then whoosh, whoosh those legs back and forth like a windshield wiper. All right. Come then back to center. Now I think it's time for a flow. Arms rise, reach up, lift up overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, arms rise, reach up, keep them up there, roll the shoulders away from the ears, and then on that exhale, pivot your body over towards the right. All right, lifting up through the rib cage, squeeze the core, come back to center. Then twist over to the left, using the belly as the guide. Come back to center, using the belly again, then come over towards the right, and then drop the hands to the outside of the right leg. All right, so your left arm crosses over, your right hand is on the outside of the right side. So it's just dangling. Now you can stay just like this, or you can bring that right hand behind you on the chair or above. So each one has a different kind of sensation. If you bring your hand to the tippity top of that chair, you're probably going to get a super duper crack in your back. All right, you're bringing your hand onto the base where you're sitting on the chair, you'll get a little bit of a crack, but you won't have as much. And if you just keep your hand dangling, it's very gentle. It's just the breath work. So just determine where you feel the best. I'm going to do something in the middle. I don't want to sway you. I just want you to listen to your body and then look over your shoulder. Make sure you're looking over that right shoulder. Taking the gaze out. We're going to hold this for another 4 breaths. Remember, you're lifting up through that core. You could be a little bit fluid with the pose. All right, we're going to take our hands, bring them to heart center. Take our legs, bring them together. Knees touch, thighs touch, feet touch. Squeeze the core, lift up a little bit taller in the seat. You're still looking over towards the right side. So it's basically namaste, hands looking over to the right side in your twist. And you're just going to take that elbow on the left side and just come down like an airplane, like you're coming in for landing. Wherever the elbow lands, I want you to just stay there for a few breaths. That's your natural starting point, okay? If you can, and only if you feel comfortable, maybe step outside that comfort zone and just take that elbow and cross it over to the opposite leg, or just over a little bit more, a few more inches. And if you finally get to a place where you feel flexible enough, maybe you even hook that elbow over the opposite leg. So left elbow would hook over the right thigh, if that's in your practice. Look up to the sky, keep your gaze up. Chin is up by the shoulders still. One more breath. I want you to then press your feet into the ground. Imagine that that breath is pressing your feet into the ground, and then on the exhale, you lift up. All right, drop the hands back down to the outside of the leg. And just look over that shoulder and breathe. All right, squeeze the core. Come back to center slowly. All right, and then shake it out to the left and the right. Okay, open your legs back up. So back to hips width apart we go. All right, and let's go through a flow before we do the other side. So arms rise, reach up, lift up overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half back, flat lift. Half lift, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, arms rise. All right, keep them up there. We're gonna twist our body over to the left. Squeeze in that core, come back to center and twist to the right, which should probably be a little bit looser this time. Come back to center, twist to the left, and then drop your hands to the outside of your left leg. Okay. So we can just have them either dangle, or you can find that home for your left hand, the seat or the top of the chair. You do want to find that home, and once you do, you can look over that left shoulder and just start to breathe for about 8 breaths. Just like we did on the other side, we're just going to stay here in the pose. If you like to close your eyes, you can. All right, bring our hands, bring them to heart center. Take those legs, take them together, knees touch, thighs touch, feet touch. All right, take that elbow on the right side and just come down wherever you are. All right, don't try to push it. You're just gonna gauge your current flexibility with this. So now the left elbow is pointing towards the ceiling and you are actually looking up at the ceiling. So chin is still up by the shoulder. You're still looking over that left shoulder. And if you like, and only if you feel like it's in part of your practice, you can start to inch that right elbow closer and closer to the opposite leg until maybe one day it finally hooks over. Doesn't have to hook right now. Even if you are hooked, maybe you just go ahead and you do a little bit more of a pivot, adding more into your belly, relaxing the back just a little bit more. There's always something we can do to improve, so we should never judge ourselves based on where we are. And slowly, we're gonna come back up, squeezing that core. It's like kind of like that tick-tock. We kind of just come up, coming back up to 12 o'clock. And then dropping our hands to the outside, noticing the difference from when we first started our twist. And then we're going to come back to center slowly. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Open up the legs and then twist it out. Beautiful. All right, we're going to go through another flow, but this time this flow is going to lead us to standing. Okay, let me see what time it is. We're perfect. We got about 10 minutes, like not 8 minutes, 8 to 10 minutes or so. So this flow, remember, it's going to lead us to standing. So however you want to come up to standing after you finish the flow, take your time and do it. For those of you who want to go straight up, squeezing that core, coming right up, that power pose, you can do that, okay? All right, arms rise, reach up, lift up overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, arms come up. And if you're coming up to power pose, just come straight up and lift up. If you're taking your time, that's fine. And then if you want to kind of lean to your left and your right and just kind of stretch it out, Roll those shoulders away from the ears, coming up into that mountain pose. Okay, I'm gonna do a little bit of an adjustment there. There we go. Beautiful. Because I did that, let me go ahead and change my lighting just a little bit. I'm a little blind from the light, but I think I can see now. Okay. Here we are. So we're going to come right behind our chair. Hope you guys are good. I'm blinding myself. I'm sorry. Everything looks dark now. Okay. Here we go. So we got ourselves on our space. We're going to come behind our chairs. All right. Now I'm going to face my chair towards you, but you should be behind it or on the side of it. Okay. Like always, let's gauge our balance. So here we go. So we're going to gauge our balance. We're going to lean over, starting with the right side, using the chair for support. Then we're going to lift up on that left leg and just tick-tock it down. We're squeezing the glutes, using the hips. Now there's a whole range here. So you find yourself, if you only want to do little tick-tocks, that's fine. If you want to do big tick-tocks, that's fine too. Just try to match the breath with the movement. Come back, kind of sway back and forth. Then come on to the other side. And take that left weight, bring the little left weight into the ground, hand on the chair. All right, lift up over here on that that right foot, and then tick-tock it down. And there we go. All right, put back down, kind of wiggle that weight. There we go. Okay, come right behind us on the chair. And stand here for a moment. Soften the knees, bend the knees up and down. Maybe lift up the heels. Get a sense of those balls in your feet so you know where you're balancing at. All right, so your right foot is gonna stay forward. We're gonna start out by taking the left foot back, and we're gonna be on our toes. We're just gonna kind of go back and forth. All right, I like to give you guys different stuff just because every week the same old thing is okay, but I feel like we are at a point where we can start to add a little bit. All right, so we're back and forth, and this is kind of like our crescent lunge. All right, stretching out the left leg. It's completely straight. We're bumped up on those toes. We're gonna start to sit down in our left knee so that our knee starts to bend and it comes into a side angle. So you can go anywhere in space that you like. Okay, we have a whole range here, but I suggest, since you're holding onto the chair, just kind of meet the fullest boundary that you can to keep yourself balanced. And then you're gonna take your left hand and you're gonna lift it up. Right hand is still on the chair. If you don't feel comfortable, you can always keep both hands. If you feel super comfortable, you really want to test your balance, you can bring both hands up. All right, so you have all these different positions. We're going to take that left hand and we're going to bring it behind us and open up and come straight into warrior two. When we do that, our left foot is going to come to a 45-degree angle. Our legs are now super duper wide. Wherever we have them is fine, but we're stretched out to our max. So we should really be engaging the legs from the feet up through the thighs. Sit down a little bit more through your hips, okay? Squeeze the core. And then you can keep that left hand behind you and look over your right side. Now your hand is on the chair. This is what it looks like. If you want to come into the non-modified warrior two, this is what it looks like. So this is advanced, and then this is modified. All right, we're going to swing around again, bring our hand onto the chair, but come back up. We're going to bump back into that crescent lunge, and I want you to keep that knee bent in front of you because that is going to be the leg we take off of. If you don't want to test your balance here, you don't have to, but if you do, I want you to bump up a little bit more on the toes of the left side and then squeeze the core and then come up, lifting up that left leg, taking the heel, pressing it down so that the foot is like making a footprint on the wall behind you. Keep the right knee soft and just try to square your hips with the chair. Nothing else. All right. And then bump up about 2 times. And then tick-tock down. Bringing your left foot to meet your right. And then bump up and down. Good job. Okay, let's do that on the other side. All right. So we're going to take our foot back right now, our right foot, and we're going to go back as far as we can, keeping our toes on the ground, heel comes up. So we're coming into crescent lunge on the right side, and we're just going to rock back and forth. Okay, so right now our left knee is going from straight to bent. Why? Because we're rocking back and forth. We're just testing out the waters. We're finding a place for our foot. We might go back too far or not far enough. Okay, we want to squeeze the thighs, squeeze the glutes. All right, then when you get into that comfortable position, I want you to start to make sure that when you come into your side, angle with your leg, right, that your knee is stacked on top of your ankle. So right foot, the knee starts to bend down to be, left foot, sorry. When the knee starts to bend down to be stacked on top of the ankle, the right foot is now behind us. Heel is still up for right now. We're going to get ourselves square with the chair and then open up with our right hands. Remember, crescent lunge is either 2 or 1 or both. I'm going to take my right hand up. And then when you're ready, you're going to peel open and come into warrior 2. Right foot comes to a 45-degree angle. All right. Adjust your body as you need to. Squeeze the core, squeeze the glutes, and then look over your shoulder on the left side. So right fingertips are, I'm wiggling them now. They're all the way out with the right foot. We're looking over the left. And this is what non-modified looks like. All right, we're going to peel back around, come back into that crescent lunge, squeezing that core, bring both hands onto the chair this time. And when you're ready, squeeze the core and then lift off. Squaring your body while you're got that one leg up, you're squaring your body with the chair. Now, if you do not feel comfortable, you can just keep your toe like this until you get to that point. Your toe is just simply touching the mats. Otherwise, you got your leg all the way up and you can bump it like 2 times. Make sure that the heel is pressed down so like you're pressing that footprint, and then square those hips with the chair and then tick-tock down. Breathing in and out as you do it until your right foot meets your left. We're doing the time. All right. And then bump around. Let's come up. Mountain pose. Come back down. Let's also do this. Kind of go back and forth. Last thing. And then we're going to do one more mountain pose, but I want you to kind of come in front of your chair if you can. Because this time when we do our mountain pose, we're going to come back into our seat, exhaling, and on that exhale, we'll come back down to sitting. All right, beautiful. I'm going to bring my seat a little bit closer. All right. So let's breathe in and out as we prepare to close class. Allow for your next breath to come in so you can settle into the space of your seat once again from that standing to sitting position. Or to relax the body, close the eyes. Relax the feet, and the legs, the belly. Relax your chest and your heart and your shoulders, your elbows and your hands. Let the tongue fall away from the top of your mouth. And just breathe for a moment. To make this breath one full of trust, self-trust. Just know that each breath is going to lead to a next. Each exhale is going to lead to a next. Nothing else, and there's nothing else you trust. Just trust that each breath will follow. And as you do this, you can start to relax the body even more. You can congratulate yourself on a job well done. You didn't have to come to class today, but you did. And thank you for that. Continue to just be in Savasana until the end of class. If you feel as though you have to leave before Savasana is over, that's fine. Or if you'd like to continue to meditate longer and be in Savasana after we conclude, you can do so as well. Okay. When you're ready, you can begin to take a few breaths in and out with the intention to reset your day. You can take all part and none of this class with you. And if you like, continue to bring self-trust into your day. Anytime you need to access it, just connect to the breath. And just in that moment, know that the next breath is there to support you, for nothing else. I thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you have a beautiful and blessed, lovely day. Namaste.
Thank you, Rochelle. Have a good weekend. Bye, everybody. Have a good